The oracle told me my memories were lies, and in that moment, my entire life began to unravel. Liora stepped across the threshold. The warmth of the hall vanished the instant her heel touched the polished stone floor. Behind her, the door sealed itself, heavy wood pressing soundlessly into its frame. The shift was immediate. Disorientation hit first, then sharpened into alert vigilance. The sanctuary felt less like a room and more like a conscious presence, aware of her, scrutinizing her intent. Light warped unnaturally around the space, bending at impossible angles. A thick herbal smoke clung to the air, stinging her tongue and making deep breaths difficult. Why did the room respond as though it recognized her? As if she were more than a visitor? She froze 5 feet from the dais, every muscle pulled tight. Elowen did not offer a greeting. The oracle's eyes, ancient and piercing, were fixed not on Leora's face, but on the silver pendant resting at her throat. The scrutiny prickled her skin, a violation she couldn't escape. Dust motes hung frozen in midair, refusing to drift naturally. What was Elowen waiting for her to reveal? A faint vibration pressed against her collarbone beneath the oracle's gaze. Not painful, but insistent. Liora touched the pendant. It was impossibly cold, the shock biting into her skin. The sensation sharpened her unease into something physical, fear. A metallic hum pulsed in time with her racing heartbeat, leaving an unpleasant taste in her mouth. Why now, when she was most vulnerable? Finally, Elowen spoke. Her voice was soft, yet it carried a weight that settled heavily on Leora's chest. What you remember is not what happened. The words slammed into her mind. Denial flared instantly. Impossible. Her memories, the scent of blood, the cold air of that night, were the foundation of everything she was. Your recollections are patched, the oracle added. Surgical, clipped. Beneath the words, Liora caught a faint echo. A whisper threaded through the statement itself. Who patched them? And why? The word patched cut like a blade through her conviction. She shifted backward, one hesitant step. The shadows along the walls stretched unnaturally, then snapped back as if alive. Even the sanctuary seemed to contradict her. Light bent around her like heat waves, making her own silhouette feel unstable. What was the room trying to show her? If not the truth of herself. What do you think you saw that night? Elowen's voice was flat, commanding. Leora's chest tightened, dread splintering into confusion. She clenched the pendant, the chain biting into her skin. She tried to summon the memory of her father's final look, but it dissolved into a gray blur the moment she focused. Her memory ended unnaturally. Abruptly. It left a void she had never noticed before. The herbal smoke thickened, stinging her eyes and blurring the room's edges. What had filled that empty gap? Her confusion sharpened into an urgent thought of Damien. The pendant reacted instantly, radiating heat against her skin. A painful longing surged within her. She whispered his name under her breath. The bond tugged her toward him, even as the missing memory warned her away, a fundamental split in her reality. The pendant glowed faint gold at his name, a spark of true light in the dim room. Heat radiated through her collarbone, deep and undeniable. Why did it link Damien so intensely to her fractured memories? Liora remained frozen, the pendant throbbing against her chest, when Elowen made the smallest motion, lightly touching the silver with her fingertip. The wave of longing shattered. In its place came icy, paralyzing dread. If her memory was patched, then her entire life had been built on a lie. Her identity, her trust, all misplaced. Elowen's words cut deep. Some bloodlines can rewrite memory. The air crackled faintly. The pendant flickered with a tiny cold light, whose terrible magic had marked her childhood. She stared at the pendant, horrified, as a symbol rose on its dull silver surface like molten metal, a jagged, stylized claw. Her gut clenched in cold shock. The same mark burned into the rogues who had attacked her family's lands. The pendant was tied directly to the force she had fought, perhaps even the one who had warped her mind. Light flickered around it, almost shielding the truth from her eyes. Why was she wearing a mark belonging to her attackers? A surge of adrenaline propelled her forward. "Who did this to me?" she shouted, her voice cracking through the silent sanctuary. Elowen remained still. Her eyes were cast downward, withholding a truth too immense to name. Silence fell, heavier than the smoke, heavier than the echoes, heavier than the hum, a vacuum that amplified Leora's despair. The answer was clear without words. Elowen's refusal, the oracle's silent gaze, confirmed it. Someone incredibly powerful had been involved, someone she likely knew and trusted. A single dust mote fell straight through the air, unnaturally slow, like a shard of falling glass. Leora's grip on the pendant tightened until it cut her palm. Her voice dropped to a broken whisper, lethal in its finality. Who rewrote my memories? Elowen stayed silent, and that silence was the answer.